All right, I think we are about ready. We're going to attempt to do a wireless stream here, and hopefully we'll make this pretty quick. But yes, thanks for joining us if you're here. Hopefully the stream will populate. I believe this is our first live stream that we're going to do, but we're just going to talk on a few updates that we have here. So yeah, without any further ado, let's look at the table. First, up here we've got the Insta360 Ace Pro 2. We've got a couple mounts here. Here's an iPhone mount here. Another mount for the Insta360 Pro here. This is something that we recently acquired right here. So let's show how we are using this. So we've been having lots of fun with this. We're doing lots of street photography, doing some vlogging. This thing is great. I highly recommend it. The Explorer grip is really fun. I removed the top latch here, but I kind of want to put it back, honestly, just to have that kind of clicky feeling a little bit further over here. But I've got long fingers, so hitting that shutter button is not too much of an issue. But yeah, so this is how this accessory works. It's magnetic. You've got the ability to just pull this tab up, and there's a tap in there for a quarter 20, so that makes life really easy. You can then take something like one of these type of mounts. Is this the one? Not sure where the mount is that I'm looking for. All right. I thought I had it, but looks like I don't. It's off camera somewhere, but that's okay. You get what I mean. It's basically the GoPro style of mounting. So, but yeah, nice little option you have there with this. Pull the flaps down. You can just use a tap like normal, and you can put this on the bottom here, or you can put this on the side. If you take this off here, that allows you to have the same mounting position right here. So, very nice, quick release option. Also magnetic. All right, moving on. We also have a little screen protector that we picked up for the Insta360. I've got a bubble here at the top, but you know, we can't all be perfect. So this one isn't my favorite in terms of the shape, but it works. It covers the glass, so like a screen, like a lens can be protected. And then one for the front as well. I'm not sure if that is showing up, but you can kind of see it there. Yeah, there you are. So yeah, that's what we're working with here in terms of this. We've got a screen protector on all three of these, and just going to keep this as safe as possible for as long as possible, you know, because it's an action camera, so it's meant to get wet. It's meant to be out there and, you know, roughing it. All right, so that's that. I'm going to move that to the side, and this is the component that goes along with this. So now we're going to talk about USB adapters. All right, I am slowly moving to a iPhone 17 workflow. We're going to be essentially shooting with this. We're going to put a cage on there. Not sure what cage I'm going to go with. If you guys have suggestions or know of a cage that works well, let me know. This won't be only for an iPhone 17 though. I have a 16 that I'm also wanting to use, so anything universal in terms of the cage would be highly appreciated. So that's the solution I'll be looking for. So we have here the USB adapter. So I saw one, Small Rigs makes one, but this is going to do everything I need. I've got HDMI out. I can use that for playback, or if I want to use this for a monitor to if I want to use another monitor out, something like this Field World, I can have my iPhone rigged up as my main shooting camera. Then I've got this set up here as a monitor, HDMI input and output on this monitor here. So shout out to my friends for letting me borrow that thing. But yeah, this dongle gives us HDMI out. We've got power delivery in, so the camera, iPhone can stay charged. We've got a USB in that's 5 gigabytes, so good pass through. You can use that for data if you want to throw like an SSD or something like that in there. I'm also a really big fan of these. Maybe don't buy the Micro Center brand, but you can get a really small USB stick that's like 256 gigabytes. That'll pretty much handle everything you need. And the beauty is this has USB-C on one side and then USB-A on the other. So multi-input you can use to choose which one is convenient for you. And yeah, you also have 2 additional USB-A outputs on the other side. Just makes this super, super convenient to shoot on the iPhone. So follow me on the journey of getting a cage for this and rigging up a brand new iPhone 17 to shoot content with, because looks like that's what we're going to do. All right, so we also have this newer monitor adapter. This thing was pretty cool. I think I found it okay, this is a Micro Center find, 22 bucks, you know. When it's there in person, it's hard to say no. Not gonna lie. So you've got your usual mounts here. You've got the hot shoe adapter on the bottom. This thing is super stiff, so it can tolerate the weight of the monitor. You can rotate this all the way flat, pretty much all the way forward. So yeah, and then you have the ability to tighten this still. So very useful. We have a NP battery on the bottom here. Looks like it's dead, and that's really no surprise. I just did an event with this last Tuesday, earlier this week. So shout out NWSL Atlanta. Anyway, so we've got our, what is this? The newer MA006 Swiv tilt adjustable cold shoe monitor mount with the 1/4-inch screw locking pin. So yeah, check this out from Newer. This is pretty cool. Very, very handy for monitor use. All right, moving forth. I also have this nifty 50, this Newer cage on the Canon R50 here. So the issue is I added this little male-to-male tap on here so I could, you know, add some attachments and things like that. Maybe I can do something really not necessary and like screw on my Ace Pro 2 camera to this, and I can vlog while I'm shooting with this. You get what I'm saying here? You can set it up like that. I don't know. You could, the wide angle on this is crazy. Also the stability. So you could probably use these in tandem, but I wouldn't necessarily do it this way. All that to say, as a result of adding these attachment points on here, I ended up putting myself in a situation where I couldn't get the attachment off the cage. So I've got that kind of stuck on here right now. Same issue is happening here, where when I'm in the field and I'm swapping attachments to make sure that I can shoot what I need to shoot and, you know, connect the rig how I need it to connect, if I need to, you know, make an adjustment in the field for whatever reason, I keep a couple of these taps on me in my bag, which I'll do a bag dive at some point in time. I had to pull this. So we are using the Peak Design 6-liter Everyday Sling. This has been serving me faithfully for going on 2.5 years now at this point, maybe 3. Probably actually longer than that. I feel like I've had it since I've had my iPad Pro. Different story. Anywho, these are stuck. So I wanted to find something that would fit in that Peak Design bag. So I found these Hateki, or Hatechi, however you'd like to say that. These are little locking pliers. So let's cut this open. I've got my handy dandy knife. All right, and this is part number 112001. You can see that there. I'll put links if anyone really wants to know where you can get this stuff, but there you can see hottechie.com. I'm not sure if that's there. There it is. Kind of hopefully it's showing up. Anywho, so let's get these tools out, little vice grips, and let's get these attachment points pulled off, because we don't need them permanently on our gear. We just need them when we need them. Because if they're stuck, then that gives us a whole other host of issues. So there's that. All right. First things first. Gotta go with the old. All right. Yep. Cool. I love the little release valve. This is probably the most commonly stolen tool from my childhood growing up. So shout out to my dad for tolerating me taking his tools. All device is on. Boom. All right. Actually, let's do it on the wider grip, so we don't want to take the chance of stripping the threads here for that attachment point. So what we'll do is take this a little wider and almost able. There it is. No, and there we go. Locked and released. So now we can take this off. Finally. Yay. All right, cool. That's done. So the whole point here is to just kind of emphasize, this is a little tight. I'll have to unscrew it a different way. There we go. Hit that quick release. That's what it's for. Beautiful. All right, so yeah, looks like I gnarred it a little bit there. You might be able to see it. Hopefully that doesn't cause an issue later. So when you have issues like this, it's nice to have a device that you just keep to kind of use to maybe remove some of that shrapnel metal from the thread, so this doesn't cross thread into something else that you really like using. All right, so let's go ahead and get this off as well. Same issue, and actually let's go a little bit larger, wider on this just to get this whole bottom piece out. Actually, no, it's fine. We'll just take the top piece out because this is a female tap on the base. And there we go. Nice and easy. So this is super helpful. Now, when I'm in the field, I can make sure I can make quick changes with my adapters. Don't mess up any of the threads. Make sure you always grip these things on the outside. That is what those gripping points are actually for. So, yeah, lighting isn't the best, but you can sort of see that. All right, so we're using one of these. What is this? Jeez, forgot the camera name. This is one of the OpSpot Tiny 2 Pro Tiny 2 cameras. Yeah. Anywho, so that's part of the accessories. Moving forward, we have a new cool power option. So I have some friends over at Core SWX. Shout out Core. Shout out my friend Darren. Really hooked it up, gave me some good advice on this stuff. Kind of introduced me into the Core products initially. So what we do have is this Canon camera. This is just one way to use it. I actually did an event last weekend where we did this as a demo. We take one of these Mixpre recorders. This one is from Sound Devices, the Mixpre 3. This is generation 1. Honestly, if you know what you're doing, you don't need 32-bit float. That is a totally different conversation. But cool thing is you can add this Core plate adapter, and they have a tap here on the bottom as well on this top. You just take a Allen wrench wherever the Allen wrench is, stick that in there, and then you can adapt this plate onto it. So in this case, we'll attach it on the bottom and have it like that. Then most people, they use a smart batteries for these, which I don't necessarily have on me, but if you work in production sound, you know what a smart battery is. Inspired Energy, remote audio, there's a host of Audio Root makes these batteries. This is the adapter. Run a Hiroshi cable into this adapter. You can use a normal AA battery sled if you want as well here. Point is, it allows you to power your recorder, and you can use any recorder honestly, because this has got plenty of power. This is Core solution for power packs. This is a 49 watt-hour pack, but the beauty of this is that you eliminate the use for the cup that you traditionally have to use for these type of setups, and then you get to use the cool new magnetic stuff. So let's just pretend that this is already hooked on here. The beauty in this is you have magnets. So now you can just magnetize your battery to this setup. And one of the issues that people have frequently when they're using smart batteries is with their single cup, and they need to hot swap in the middle of a take or hot swap while they're out on location. Doing that means interrupting the take or waiting until the take ends. Now, typically this isn't a hugely like big deal, but there are sometimes instances where you do need to hot swap in kind of a critical moment, if you would. I would describe it as that. That being said, this type of battery delivery system allows you to just simply add another battery and it will magnetize to this battery via these contacts, and boom, you've essentially hot swapped, added a second battery to your system, and you can just kind of continue to roll knowing that your system won't die. So you can do this in a bunch of various ways. The way I had it demonstrated for this event was with a P-tap, or this is actually a USB-C tap going into a distro, which is pretty common. It's got 4 Hirose outputs on the side, 2 and 2, screen there at top so you can see your telemetry, an additional Hirose input there, or excuse me, output, and then you have a USB-C input, TA4 input, then a USB-C output on the front. So just for the sake of actually seeing all this actually happen live, you have to use the green output for telemetry, but this is a cool way if you work in production sound. You can get telemetry still passing through in your typical mixer recorder setups on something like this. All right, so it looks like this battery is, there we go. All right, so I've got 7 hours on this battery, 42% according to this on the rating. And something cool that Core's done is they put the voltage here. I'm not sure if it'll show up on the camera with the autofocus, but right there it says 15 volts. We'll get a B-roll shot and insert that in later if we need to. But yeah, actually you can see this calculating still 8 hours, 42% for the telemetry reading on this Core battery. So just imagine if you were running out of juice, pop another one on, kind of keep it rolling. Same with this, you would just take a Hirose cable and run that either to your distro here, or if you so chose, you can run another cable directly out of this battery and into this. So check it out. We've got a cool way to do this, and they actually also include a USB-C cable here that you can utilize and go directly into the system. So that's what we'll do for this. Check it out here. We're going to plug that into our mix pre, and now we have power to the mix pre and power to the distro. So the telemetry readings are going to adjust accordingly, but for the sake of this demonstration, you could see how awesome and like useful this battery is. Also has a tap for a 1/4-20 on the outside that you can use if you're not attaching another battery on the external side of this. You could just use that for a quick mounting option. Also includes P-tap here, P-tap here. So 4 output options for this, and if you go to a distro, you can multiply those output options for whatever your use case is. Very cool options from Power and Core. Check that out. We'll talk about these maybe a little bit more individually later, or if you want to see that, I guess let me know. Another way to kind of utilize this though is with a camera. So we will pull this off here, and we will lose the distro cable, set that off to the side. So if you are a DSLR shooter, what you can do is put this plate onto the bottom of your camera. All right, then wherever you so choose it. Now they have a little icon here that says camera forward, so they want you to put the plate orientated this way with the camera facing forward. And then from there, all you need to do is take your plate, take your battery, and let it do what it does. All right, from here, we're going to utilize this USB-C output. This is a little bit of a stretch. So there it is, plugged in. Should see power. There's a green light for power there, and now we have power. So I have a super tidy setup, super compact here now. Profile wise, this is again a 50mm lens on here, and this isn't fully tightened. I will say though, with the right angle cable, it does paralyze, and I do mean paralyze, your ability to use this HDMI output here, and with the cage on here, this particular cable is not going to have the length to get in there and utilize that. So here is one of my solutions. These little ribbon cables, you can find them online. Now I can plug that in. I've got perfect clearance with the cage, allows me to utilize my mounting positions there still, and I still have access to the HDMI output for the camera. So if I wanted to run HDMI directly into this camera with the cool monitor and just throw it on the hot shoe mount here, we can do that. We can do that. That is an option that we have. So, all right, whatever. We're not going to do it now, but for the sake of knowing we can do it, there it is. And maybe I'll put a picture somewhere later, or in another IG post or on the YouTube post. We'll have a picture of how that looks. So now we can utilize this. And this makes a little snapping noise. So satisfying. And now that allows you to plug in here. And we should still have our power. Green light, green light, green light means go. And this setup is nice. You've got the ability to utilize your HDMI output now. You've got a little bit more cable room, so maybe you can tuck this under, make it a little more tidy. So yeah, really nice flexibility. And again, the profile on this is just fantastic. All right, so I think that is almost everything for this. Lastly, we do have one more power addition, so pull that off, unplug this. All right, we'll save that for there. We don't really need it anymore. Not sure we need this plate either, so the plate's going to come off. All right, plate's off. Lastly, I mentioned this USB drive. These are great, and they're super cheap. Mentioned this. Plug that right into your phone, so I can pull my SD card out of my camera or my other camera, and these both have the ability to have a USB cable plugged in and send data to a device, an iPhone, a computer, iPad, doesn't matter. So you have options. That being said, lastly, want to discuss this. This is a power adapter, and it is actually a power adapter battery dummy. All right, so we don't need a box. This is what it looks like. USB-C on one side, ELA, what is I don't know the code for the Canon battery. I'm going to cheat. It's DRE17, actually, I think is the stock one. But this one is 18. I've been assured from YouTube and other reviews online this will work. So what we will do, pop the battery out. All right. We're just going to confirm that. Yeah. LPE17. So compare and contrast these things here. So, okay, cool. That's what that looks like. We're going to insert this guy into here. We have little indicator marks. There's a down arrow, positive and negative contacts. You can see into the camera how those things would line up. Yeah, that's how that works. All right, that's it. Little latch is latched. Everything's great. So now we should have the ability to power this camera via USB-C. The issue is the battery door has a contact on here, as you can see, maybe there, yes. And that contact needs to be fully closed to engage power for this system. So we have to utilize this little escape way, kind of like back in the medieval days. They built all these little escape routes, but the camera cage, I'm not sure if that's showing up, yeah. The camera cage prevents us from running that cable through that hole without having to really, bend things up. So I don't like doing that. So here's what we're gonna have to do. We're gonna have to take the cage off, all right? So here we go. Pull this little nice magnetic tool out and bottom screw comes out of the bottom of the camera here. All right, I can twist that with my fingers now. Just gonna pull that there. And then we have this guy here we'll need to loosen on the left-hand side. Pass it on the left-hand side. And we will do it to the right as well. And then, like the cage installation video, flip this thing upside down. Should be all good to go. Just close that battery door. This should come right out. Oh, all right, so not completely loose on this side here, as well as this side. There we are. All right, set that there. All right, and now we are free. The cage is over there. We'll keep that upright for the sake of not losing screws, bits and bobs. So here's the passageway for the cable, and we're going to make this pretty quick because that's how you do it. All right. Lock that. And for the sake of demonstrating, we will pull back our core battery out. We know this thing has battery in it. What are we doing? USB to USB is not ever going to work. But also, something cool to note for these batteries, you don't have to use this really nice cable with that beautiful snapping. You can use a regular USB-C cable. Plug it in. Run it to whatever your other device is, and you're going to have power. So now we have a dummy battery via USB-C powering our Canon camera. Turn that on. Let's see if it tells us any battery settings in the menu. Battery info. DRE18, so it recognizes that. Remaining capacity is full. Recharge performance. All right, so there we go. And that is our battery dummy install. So to wrap this up, we're going to just put the cage back on. We're going to see how that looks. And then we're going to call it quits. Hope everyone has a wonderful Friday. So thanks for joining us. If you're not watching us in real time, thank you for joining us in later time and on your time. So, all right, there's that. Oh, the thing happened, so we lost the screw there, but the cage is on, so we'll come back to that later. Screw is on the ground. That's what our cage looks like and feels like now that we have our USB-C out. I may call one of my service friends and have them cut this down and put the USB-C connector a little bit shorter so I can have a much tidier setup. But for now, we have this nice Velcro set up on here, so we can just Velcro this down when we don't need the extra length. And yeah, this is it. So thanks for joining us. This has been an update on all of our Gidgets, bits, bobs, and accessories. Thanks for joining us. Sounds like tech.